What's going on, guys? It's GBP baby. Welcome back to a backtesting video. Now what I'm going to be doing from now on is trying to do a backtesting video every day, just to go over the day's delivery. I think it would help you guys a lot, and it would also help me because I've been out of my backtesting habits for a while. So yeah, all I'm going to do is, it's going to be really simple. We're going to use the 5-minute chart. That's the time frame I tend to execute on. That doesn't mean that you necessarily should be executing on either as well, but that's just what I tend to execute on. And so what I tend to do, and my most biggest habit, is marking out the high and low of the Asia range, which is between 7 a.m. and midnight. We'll drag that out. And yeah, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to frame any kind of setups that formed today that we could have traded. Now I didn't trade today because I don't tend to trade Mondays, but nonetheless we'll be taking a look at price action and see what kind of trading we could have got up to. So you can see just clear consolidation all here. I'm not really going to look too much into this. In fact, let's see what the 1 minute is offering us. And I think the 1 minute's a little bit better. So you can see we come down, grab stops below the Asia range low, and then we come out of that. And this is where we have the change in the state of delivery. So we have a nice little breaker right here, low, high, lower low. So we're looking at the last up close candle. Drag that out, and that's going to be our breaker. But yeah, if you've watched my other backtesting videos, you'll know my process pretty much. So this is nothing new. I do want to try and keep this below 30 minutes. Well, 30 minutes at most, just because time, and then obviously I've still got to record my daily review. So yeah, but any questions, make sure to drop a comment, join the mailing list, make sure to smash subscribe as well, and we'll see how this goes on. Because although I'm saying I'm going to do this now, I wouldn't be surprised if there's going to be nights where I'm just tired in general and I don't come and do this. However, I know it's going to help me, because this is how I learned to be so precise in a lot of my trading. Obviously, I have to watch an ICT, but I mean, like, it's backtesting what does the work. So this will be a setup, breaker, pull back into the breaker, go long. But I tend to like to trade. I look for setups around 3 a.m. because at 3 a.m. there's either a reversal like what we have here, a retracement, or some kind of continuation. And you can see in this case is a direct reversal. So that's a beautiful setup right there. Now there's nothing directly on the 1 minute, but you can see how we're finding support inside of this bullish order block. So that's significant. And then if we look at the 50% level of it, you can look at how volume's treating that, and we can use that as confluence as to why we'd want to go long here at 3 o'clock as price is staying above it. And then you can see we run up to our buy side liquidity target right here. So this is where I'd want to get out of my position. Obviously hindsight's a beautiful thing, but generally speaking, I'd be looking at these relative equal highs to be where price wants to draw towards, and that's what we see happen. So here I don't really see any setups. You can see we make a high, come down back into this order block right here. Again, respecting the 50% level, we have another bullish order block right here. Let's make this black. And there's a point of reaccumulation right here. So here there's distribution on the downside, and if we drag that out, you can see that's exactly where we reaccumulate on the upside. So this is predictable to an extent. If you go and watch some of my trade execution videos, you'll see how I've used this to help me frame my setups. But yeah, you can also call it pretty much just a consolidation. So it would have been nice to go long there. Let's say we missed this expansion. I'd then look to the left side of the curve, see that there's consolidation over here, and wait for a retracement back into it. And then you can see there's a continuation. I also like how we sat on top of the Asia range right here. Very classic price action there. And then you can see price traded back down into the bullish order block. So you could have gone long there as well. That's also a setup in itself, with the expectation to run out these relative equal highs. Now I don't trade before 2 a.m. However, you can see there's a run on stops, very classic price action, run on relative equal highs, buy side liquidity there. And then we have a break lower and then return back into a fair value gap. So you could go short there, and it's inside of a breaker. Why is it a breaker? High, low, higher high, displacement to the downside, return into a fair value gap coupled with a breaker. So that is a ideal setup for a short. So let's just get that marked out. And then at this point, I'd be aiming for the Asia range lows. So I'd want to get out of my position below here as soon as it trades through it. This little bit of consolidation. Now, here is where we have New York. So let's take a look at New York. What I tend to do as well, I look at this range between this high and this low. So between 5 a.m. Let me close this. Between 5 a.m. and between 5 a.m. and 7 a.m. there's a range that forms if price doesn't run, because that can happen as well. And I pretty much treat it the same way I treat the Asia range. So I'm looking for the high and low to get taken. However, in this case, you can see we respect the 50% level. This blue line was a swing high, which I drew our attention to in yesterday's video. So we knew price was drawing up here. That's another reason we could easily go long there. We expected these highs to get taken. I didn't really expect a New York continuation, but we got one nonetheless. So yeah, let's take a closer look. So this is quite difficult price action. Let's see. New York wasn't the cleanest. I wasn't expecting us to run up to these highs. I knew these highs were going to get swept. It was interesting to see that we managed to get those. Anyway, nonetheless, we've retraced back into this range. So let's take a look at price now. The fact that we've retraced back into this range, you can see how we're just hovering around that 50% level. Excuse me. There we go. You see our price is respecting it. If price stays above it, there's no reason we won't trade on higher, but that's for our daily review. In terms of setups for New York session, obviously there's between 8 and 8:30 is usually when my setup for New York forms. So if we mark out 8 and then 8:30 where we had high impact news, you can see there's some consolidation. And then here we have expansion, we have a breaker, and we have a fair value gap as well. So there is a fair value gap right here that you could go long in after 8:30, and a run on an expansion to the upside. That's also a breaker. So this is what we call a break-up structure. Fair value gap coupled with breaker. Where's the breaker? You're probably wondering. Right here, we've got a low, high, lower low, and then price is delivered and close up to the upside. So as price trades back into that, we can go long. And then, like I said, we knew where our drawn liquidity was. We knew we were going to trade up to here, and you can see we reached that pretty nicely. So I would have let off my position once we get above there. Any kind of continuation, maybe I could have closed half of my position and held on. However, I didn't know this. I wasn't anticipating this, so that would have probably been all I would have wanted to do in that New York session. But let's take a look at how price is working its way up. So we have a bullish order block here that gets respected. We have a bullish order block here that's continuously getting respected. So these bullish order blocks are holding price up, which is all significant because it's showing a willingness to want to go higher. But it's very jagged. Like, I don't really like it. That's what I mean. It's quite difficult price action in general. And it's not till 8:30 that we actually get a nice run, but that's typical of 8:30. So you're starting to see now how I use time and price to frame my setups. It's not just price, it's the time of day that I'm expecting these things to happen. So you can see how it's in a consolidation, and as soon as we get above the London highs, we run, don't we? What's also interesting is how if you look at this retracement from here to here, we have a range. We actually pull back to the 50% level of London right here. This is very classic of price action as well. This is something I studied myself. ICT never directly taught this, but it's classic for price to make a high and then return to equilibrium. And then the fact that this high failed to take out this high meant that, okay, once we get to New York, we're probably going to aim for those highs, and that's why we can see us trading on higher quite nicely. So that's very interesting, and it's nice to see that we found support again inside a bullish order block from over here, and we had a target off the London highs. So we could have traded, I guess, before New York started. Not ideal for me. I prefer to wait till New York starts. And then we have a breaker here. Why? Low, high, lower, low. From then on, price trades higher, support, and then we just keep seeing bullish order blocks hold price. So let's just get this all marked out, and then we'll put a long right here. Obviously this is easier said than done, and like I said, I didn't trade today, and if I did, this probably would have been less likely because I tend to wait till 7 a.m. for any kind of setups, and then yeah, it's just Mondays for you. But generally speaking, the fact that we retraced 50%, very classic, and then seeing support and continued support like this should help us as we move into the London kill zone. Another thing to take note of is the fact that this level, remember, this is that swing high that we took out in London session. Look at how we're finding support above it. That's very interesting, especially right here, just before we hit 8 a.m. sorry, we trade into it and then we run, don't we? So that's quite interesting, but it's not very clean. This isn't clean price action, guys. Like, it's not the best environment to be trading in. Anyway, we get to the end of the session. Now we reach 10 a.m., which is the start of London close. Now London close is typical for retracements. We see a pullback right here back into the range, and yeah, you can see we're just in a massive consolidation right now. So I'll talk more on this in the daily review, but yeah, from now on I'm going to try and do a little back testing before every video, just to either on Euro or GBP, just to have a look at where we could have traded. So I hope that all makes sense, guys. Don't forget to drop a like, drop a comment, smash subscribe, and yeah, I'll catch you in a bit. Peace.